Welcome. Today we are reviewing for your Chapter 3 Part 2 test. So this is going to cover 3.5, 3.6, and 3.8. The first thing we have is 3.5, and that's proportions. So how we solve proportions is we have two fractions and they're separated by an equal sign. What we need to do is cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply like a diagonal. So 3 times 16 and 4 times x. So 4 times x just going to give us a 4x. 16 times 3 gives us 48. So now our 4 is touching our x. So that means multiply. So the opposite is to divide. X equals 48 divided by 4, which equals 12. Here we have 72 times w equals 8 times 45. 72 times w equals 72w. 8 times 45. Hold on, let me grab my calculator. 8 times 45 gives us 360. Again, we're going to divide by 72. And w equals 5. Now we have 9 is to 3 as x is to 12. So whenever we see this word as, we know that that means equals. So what we're going to do is we're going to have two fractions, 9 over 3. That's our first what's called ratio. Then our equal sign, and x is to 12, so x over 12. Cross multiply. 3 times x equals 9 times 12. 3 times x is 3x. 9 times 12 is 108. So we divide by 3. And x equals 36. Alright, another problem. G is to 9 as 16 is to 12. Remember the as is the equal sign, so G over 9 equals 16 over 12. We're going to cross multiply. Multiply across diagonally. So 12 times G equals 9 times 16. 12 times G is 12G equals 9 times 16, which is 144. Divide by 12. And G equals 12. Alright, now we're going to continue our proportions, but we're going to add a little something. So this time we have negative 5n times 2 and 4 times 15. Negative 5n times 2 is negative 10n. 4 times 15 gives us 60. So negative 10 divided by negative 10, 60 divided by negative 10 gives us n equals a negative 6. Now this problem, we have 2x plus 1 on top. So not only do we have a variable, but we have a coefficient with the variable and another number. So we're still going to cross multiply. That doesn't change. So 34 times 3 equals 6 times, so I'm going to put this in parentheses, 2x plus 1. So 34 times 3 gives us 102 equals, now what we can do is when we have parentheses like this, we can draw a box. So we have 6 times 2x plus 1. 6 times 2x gives us 12x. 6 times 1 is positive 6. So 102 equals 12x plus 6. Now I want to get x all by itself. So this is the last thing I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is subtract 6 to move the 6 over to the other side. 102 minus 6 gives us a 96 equals 12x. Finally divide by 12, and x equals 8. Now we have two variables in this problem. This one is negative 10a times 3, so we can write that negative 10a times 3 equals negative 4a minus 1 times 8. So 8 times negative 4a minus 1. Negative 10a times 3 gives us a negative 30a. We can draw our box to solve this. 8 times negative 4a minus 1. 8 times negative 4 is negative 32a. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. We have a negative 30a equals negative 32a plus 8, or minus 8. So now I have a variable here and a variable here. That can't happen. We got to move one of them over. So I'm going to move this 32 over, and I'm going to add because it's the opposite of minus. So those will cancel out. Negative 30a plus 32a is 2a equals negative 8. Finally divide by 2, and a equals a negative 4. Here we do 10 times y, and 8 times y plus 5. If we draw our box here, we have 8 times y plus 5. 8 times y is 8y. 8 times 5 is 40. We have 8y plus 40 equals 10 times y, which is 10y. We're going to move the 8y over. Now we subtracted because this was a positive 8. So 10y minus 8y gives us 2y equals 40. Finally divide by 2, and y equals 20. Alright, 3.8. Now, this is function form, or solve for y. So what we're trying to do is get y by itself. So I'm just going to put a box around it. So I know that that's the last thing we're going to do. So we need to move this 8x over to the other side somehow. It's a positive, so I know I can subtract 8x. Now y equals, now because 8 has an x on it, I can't combine it with 14 that doesn't have an x. I'm just going to leave it like it is, negative 8x plus 14 because 14 is positive. Here, I'm trying to get y by itself. So what I need to do is, this is a positive 15, move it over by subtracting. And y equals, 11x can't be combined with 15, so 11x minus 15 is our answer. Last couple problems here. This is our y, and it's attached to a 6 and a negative, so I'm just going to put a box around that whole thing. I'm going to move this plus 2 over to the other side by subtracting. Now because this one doesn't have a variable and the 4 doesn't have a variable, I'm going to subtract it from the 4. So we get negative 6y equals 12x. Negative 4 minus 2 gives us a negative 6. Divide by negative 6. Now when we divide by everything on this side. So we get y equals 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2x. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is a positive 1. Here our y is connected to a negative 5, so I'm going to put a box around that. Now we got to move two things over. First I'm going to move this negative 6x. So I'm going to add 6x. We get negative 5y plus 15 equals 6x. Now I can't combine 6x with 0, so it's a plus 0. Last thing I need to move over is this 15. So subtract 15. We get a negative 5y equals 6x. 0 minus 15 gives us a negative 15. Finally, we have to divide by negative 5. Y equals, now I can't divide 5 and 6, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it the way it is. 6 over negative 5x. Negative 15 divided by negative 5 gives us a positive, because two negatives make a positive. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So our answer is y equals 6 over negative 5x plus 3.